today, last round. Yeah, we're talking about retail, and I think it would be very, very interesting. A lot of new things happened since last year, and I would ask the panelists to present themselves what they are doing. The first round, yeah, and in the next round, Nevena will do some update what is new on the market. I think, Tijana, you begin.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Tijana Vujović. I'm representative of Confluence Property Management, which is a service company founded in Serbia 2009, responsible for asset and property management solutions and services to the clients. I would say that we are mostly recognized by our exclusive client, MPC Properties, where we are responsible for management of Ušće shopping center in Belgrade, a couple of other retail properties in Belgrade, and office properties in Belgrade and Serbia. And we deal also with third-party clients. One of the most famous is Mercator and their shopping malls called Mercator and Roda centers in Serbia.
Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Nemanja Savčić and I am representative of NEPI Investment Fund here in Serbia and the region. Just shortly to introduce NEPI. NEPI is investment fund originally from South African Republic in the region of Europe, operating from Bucharest, and we are first of all commercial property investors, but also developers and operators. In the region, and which is mainly in Romania, we are currently operating and owning around 900,000 square meters of GLA, and 80% of it is retail, shopping malls, retail value centers or smaller, and some 15% or less than 20 is the office, and the rest of it is industrial and logistics. Here in Serbia, we are active for a couple of years in matter of scanning. In last year in September, I'm proud to say that we made the acquisition of one shopping center, which is ex-Plaza, it's called Plaza now, also in Kragujevac. And this is, let's say, base for our future development in Serbia and also the region. What is interesting for us is that we are entering the market by entering the secondary cities. We are doing the acquisitions mainly, but simply in the countries where there are no existing project or projects that are available for acquisition, we are doing our own development. And also we are creating portfolio in the region, which we are operating. We are operating the shopping centers, and we are here for the long-term investment, so we are not exit-based strategy. We are here to stay. From Belgrade office, we are handling most of the region, let's say ex-Yugoslavia, and also going through the opportunities in the region. Serbia, we are focused on shopping malls in biggest cities, which is Belgrade, Novi Sad, and Niš.
Thank you. I'm Nevena Kostić. I'm the owner and director of Retail C Group. We're a company that manages the first online business portal dedicated to the retail market in Southeast Europe. On our website, retailsee.com, we publish daily news about the expansion of international and local retailers across the market. We provide information about the performance of existing shopping centers, and also we give updates on future projects. Besides information, we're also an online business network. On our website, you can create a professional profile. You can connect with over 2,400 retail professionals using our online messaging system. And also, we provide personal assistance to connect you with any retail company that we write in our news section. Since the last Rebec in June 2014, we have written additional 1,300 news articles about the retail market. And as Alexandra said, today I'm going to reflect on the main events in Serbia to recognize some trends that have happened in the past year. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Đura Stanić. I'm Managing Director of Black Oak Developments. We are a privately owned investor and development company, and we also have our own asset management. We currently have several investments in Serbia. One of them, probably the most famous, is Fashion Park Outlet Center in Inđija, Forum Shopping Center in Niš, and we have 6 hypermarkets in secondary cities all over Serbia.
Very interesting. Nevena, reflect.
Okay, so the last year has been pretty active in Serbia. We have celebrated the opening of 3 retail park developments. The first one was in September 2014, the opening of Vivo Park in Jagodina, developed by a local developer. Then in April 2015, we had the opening of the first Stop Shop retail park in Čačak, developed by Imo Finance. And then finally, in May 2015, we had the opening of Zemun Park in Belgrade. We can see a trend here that even though last year there was a hype around large-scale shopping centers such as Belgrade Waterfront and Delta Alto Komanda, it seems that the most realistic projects for this period have been retail parks. And we have information that the developers who are active in this market have plans to expand their retail park portfolio across the country. For instance, Imo Finance has announced to the media that they are planning to develop around 8 retail parks in the next 3 to 4 years. The first ones are going to be in Subotica and Niš. And then Aviv Arlon, the developers of the famous retail park in Pančevo, have already started construction on 2 retail park developments. One is a retail park neighborhood shopping center in Zvezdara in Belgrade, and the other one, they started construction at the beginning of 2015, is in Zrenjanin. And they're planning to open these retail parks by the end of the year. Also, we had a very important acquisition in the past year. Mitiska Riem, a Belgium investment company, has entered the market by acquiring 85% stake of Capital Park in Šabac. And together with Poseidon Group, they're planning to open around 6 retail parks in the next 5 years. And the first ones are probably going to be in Rakovica and Borča in Belgrade. Other also developers such as MPC and Big and other companies are planning to expand retail park developments across Serbia. And we see another trend that these developers are not focusing anymore on large cities, Belgrade, Novi Sad, but there is an interest in secondary smaller cities such as Subotica and Zrenjanin and Čačak and so on. So that will be the first trend. May I go on with 2 more trends or?
Feel free to reflect.
Another trend that we have recognized in the region is the rise of online shopping platforms. I have to mention that in April 2015, the leading retail conglomerate Agrokor, owners of Idea supermarkets across Serbia and majority stakeholders of Mercator, have announced that they're going to be developing a regional online shopping platform. They're going to employ around 100 people in logistics, marketing, programming to develop this. Also, in the previous year, we have written numerous articles about international brands starting online platforms such as H&M and IKEA in Romania. In Serbia, we have a couple of retailers that have online shopping platforms such as Tehnomania, Univer Export, Gigatron. It is very important to say that recently PayPal has entered the Serbian market, and based on the Ministry of Trade, 1 million people in Serbia have been using PayPal services, and they expect this to rise by the end of the year when PayPal will open up the features that local companies can use this service on their online platforms. So it's definitely a trend that shopping centers and retailers need to be prepared for. And the final trend that we have seen is a future trend. This year, Ušće has become the first shopping center to receive a green building certificate in Serbia. They have made investments in their layout and in their management in order to become more energy efficient, and we believe this is going to influence existing shopping centers to make similar investments in their existing schemes, and also it may influence developers on how they develop their future projects. That is it for now.
Thank you. Now, Tijana, question tenant mix in Ušće. Did something change in the last year? Is something happening, something special, something new?
Well, I think for those one who know or even who don't know, we are doing a lot of tenant mix changes yearly in Ušće shopping mall. Since the opening, we had a lot of, I would say, conceptual changes in terms of the merchandise mix, first of all, in terms of the content we have in Ušće. First of all, generally, we see a trend in most of the shopping malls that the companies are buying out their franchise partners in local markets. So basically, we see this switch from franchisees to mother companies, let's say, in an administrative form, first of all. Second, we see a lot of new brands coming into the market in the past couple of years in every sort of merchandise offer. Mostly, we saw a lot of fast fashion brands coming from abroad, and I think they reshaped a little bit the layout of all our malls. So we saw in past couple of years the entry of C&A or H&M. We see LC Waikiki coming to the market. So these are the brands that are must-haves in the shopping malls, and they certainly recreate the area in the shopping mall. So the answer is absolutely yes, and it never stops. So basically, on a yearly level, we are making strategic plans on how to improve, first of all, the content, the offer of our malls, and also the ambience and the atmosphere, which goes along to a future trend of online shopping. We realize that we have to do always some changes to make people feel good and have this extra content in the shopping malls in order to have them and keep them loyal to the properties we manage.
Thank you. Nemanja, this takeover of Plaza in Kragujevac, this was something unexpected or a long plan? You have a hidden plan related to this? This would be the first question. The second part of the question would be, is there a big change between Plaza and Ušće, for example, or is this quite the same tenant mix?
First of all, regarding our acquisition in Kragujevac, it was not so secret plan. It is something that NEPI is very often doing and entering the market through the secondary cities. This is what was done in Romania, this is what was done in Slovakia, and also no doubt that the shopping center in Kragujevac Plaza is a really good center, really nice center, and also what we see as the best thing about it, it has a great potential. Its location and position in the city of Kragujevac is really good for influencing most of the region and becoming one of the, or actually the only regional mall in that region. Regarding the tenant mix in the shopping center, this is also where we see our opportunity, having in mind that we have very nice contacts with, actually great contacts with the tenants from our headquarters in Bucharest, and also because of the large volume of the retail area. And we believe that we are able to bring even new tenants on the market in Kragujevac shopping center, but also in the other shopping centers that we are planning to do. So no doubt that in the future there will be slightly changes in Kragujevac with definitely new tenants in the shopping center, but hopefully in the country as well.
Thank you. Jura, first of all, fashion outlet. How many shops there are? How is the tenant mix, parking space? A little bit about this. And then also the topic tenant mix. Have you a lot of textile? What is the change between last year and in this year, in this case?
Well, the tenant mix is quite usual for an outlet center. I mean, in terms of sports brands, fashion brands, basically everything that you would find in any outlet shopping center in the Western Europe. And we have followed basically a small change over the last 3.5 years since the center was opened, because there were some changes in the market as well. Some tenants lost their distribution rights, so certain brands. Some new tenants gained the distribution rights. So in that sense, we had slight changes, but all of them worked in a better way. Mainly the sports tenants are very popular in our center. We basically have all the tenants that exist in the market, and we always try to focus on monobrand stores. meaning that we have Adidas and Reebok as company stores. We have Nike as a company store, or not company, but company size of the company store or Nike only store. And the good thing is that now, after the acquisition of that unit from Sport Time, the new Nike distributor, basically it is the only Nike factory outlet store authorized in Serbia. So that is a great advantage for the center. Also, I forgot to mention, within our group, there is also the fashion company, which is one of the leading retail distribution companies in Serbia and ex-Yugoslavia region. So we also have many fashion brands that work very well. What we have seen is that there is no clear limit between let's say lower cost brands or more luxury brands, meaning that we have visitors who choose and try to find the best deal, basically the best value for their money. Over the last couple of months, we started negotiations with some new market entries, some tenants who are not present in Serbia at this point, and we already have some since the opening of the center. I don't know how many of you guys here were also here in 2012 when I was a panelist here as well. Some of them are Retro, it's a Hungarian brand, Canvelo, Lee Cooper. These are some of the first stores that actually opened here. Another very important thing to say in terms of the trends is that, in my opinion, there is definitely a demand for expansion in Serbia, but the problem is that there is undersupply of primary locations in downtown Belgrade. And certain brands, in order to make a corporate decision and enter the market, at least need to have, let's say, between 5 and 10 good locations that they can make their business feasible in this region. And as Tijana can also confirm, I'm quite sure that they have quite a big waiting list in their center. The same thing is in Delta City or Knez Mihailova, which is fairly overpriced, but still there are no vacant units that you can get. And in some normal procedure, normally the tenant would first open several regular retail stores, and then after maybe 5 of them would open an outlet store. But in our case, over the last few years, because that was not very easy, they've decided to switch to a different strategy where they first open the store in our center, because we have units that we can always, let's say, newly construct or reshape. Our center is very easily expandable. And in that way, they start first in our center and try to position their business and are waiting for some better locations in downtown Belgrade.
Thank you. Tijana, if you say how happy are the tenants with the sales, Ušće and Delta City, you believe the tenants are happy with the sales?
Well, I would say that given the limited purchasing power of Serbia, I think that performance of Ušće and probably Delta City by far exceeds their expectations. And I think most of the shopping, I think today, is concentrated on these 2 major shopping malls. I was shocked. Honestly, we always believe that we have amazing footfall and great results, but then I was shocked. I was in Belgium 2 years ago when I realized that they had a mall of similar size like Ušće. They had 2 times less visitors per year, and they had almost 3 times better turnover. That just to say that how purchasing power is stronger in some other parts of the world, and that's unfortunately the issue we all deal with. And from investor side, we feel it in the rents. From tenant side, we feel it in turnovers, and from customer, we see it in our private lives, unfortunately. So I would say that overall, given the circumstances economically in the country, the performance of Ušće, and I assume Delta City, is quite satisfactory. However, there's always room to improve, and as economy will be improving in the next couple of years, we also believe that this will be even better.
Thank you. Nemanja, Plaza, so your tenants are happy with the sales? Where is the difference between the capital city and Kragujevac?
I cannot say that basically, I can say that they are happy although they are really positive about this takeover that appeared, and they really believe that it will be much better in the future. Also, the new tenants who are we at the moment negotiating it with and planning are also waiting to come into the center. So I can say that they are much more positive than before.
Thank you. John, a question. Have you mainly revenue-based tenants or rents, or you have mainly fixed rents? How is this in the outlet business?
We have both, of course. We have base rents and we have turnover rents based on the tenant's revenue. And it's a very institutionalized type of lease agreement where you would find all the major clauses and even more clauses than in a regular lease agreement for a shopping center, because we are a highly controlled environment, meaning that the tenants can sell only brands for which we authorize them, and we need to have strong tools to control the minimum discount level, which in our case is minimum of 30% in comparison to the regular retail price. And in that sense, I mean, all other things are basically just as for a regular shopping center.
Thank you. Nevena, now the feeling, these new formats, retail park, which is obviously strongly developing, will this change the rent structure of ordinary old things? Yeah, I'm living in Woždovac, and there is this old shopping center, and there are dozens of these shops, and very strange on three levels. Is this dead in the future, or can this survive? How you see this?
I'm sorry, the question is, with the rise of retail parks, will this affect the rents of
ordinary shops? How we know this now? Will the retail park kill the ordinary shop we know now in the street, not high street? Yeah. Do you think
in secondary cities or in any?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it will be less effective in Belgrade, but in secondary cities, I think the retail park will kill the ordinary shop structure, what?
Well, the retail supply in secondary city, the supply of modern retail space in secondary cities is fairly low. So I do believe that there's still going to be retailers on the high street, even though a retail park is built. Of course, I do believe that retail parks are going to attract a higher footfall, and that retailers are going to have better turnovers, and therefore the rents can be a bit higher, but I still believe that high streets are going to be active, nevertheless.
Thank you. Now I would like to come a little bit to the capital city, and something is now built. When I came 2002 to Belgrade, on this place there was the bus station. Yeah, 2 years later, then there was no bus station anymore, and then 10 years nothing happened. Yeah, and now Rajčeva is built. What we can expect from Rajčeva? Is this now small shops, luxury type, or a classical mall? Diana, do you know something about this?
Well, I certainly cannot say much given that it's not part of a portfolio we manage, but as far as I've understood from the market insight, it will be a shopping mall that will basically provide a bit more of a, I would say, mid-class offer, something which will be again a destination per se. We believe that High Street deserves to have, I would say, better units, and I would completely agree with Jura. Today we have an absurd situation that there is not enough big size units in Knez Mihajlovo, and that's the reason why big fashion retailers cannot enter, simply because the units, even if they're big, they usually have a small front or a small ground floor with a large basements or large first floors, and certainly these kind of tenants would be attracted to Rajčeva, I believe. Not only the existing brands, but also the brands that are coming to the market, such as LPP Group, for example. I'm not sure if they're in, but I'm just guessing that would be interesting. And I believe that their focus, and in my opinion, should be more to the mid-class upscale tenants, because then they can have in a limited size of a mall a concentrated offer, which will have a proper customer base.
Thank you. Nemanja, you like Rajčeva, the idea where it is, or you never thought about it?
Rajčeva is definitely not something that NEPI is doing, but for my personal view, it is definitely good place, a good type of the retail for that location. Simply every high street or most of the high streets in the European cities are having this kind of gallery malls, and I see the opportunity on that location. What I'm really afraid of are two things. First, I hope the investor will finish it and build it until the end, because you never know what can happen, even when you start construction. They're doing foundations right now. So I hope that they will build it. And the other thing, although the stories are about these higher class brands and tenants, I just hope that they will manage to do it, because I'm not sure how much demand in that area they have. And I'm afraid that they will maybe put some, let's say, middle scale tenants. So it will lose this kind of exclusive gallery mall on that location. I mean, definitely I like the center, although the structure is a little bit strange. It's the bases are quite small, but I believe in that project really.
Thank you. Nevena, Rajčeva for you, what means Rajčeva for you?
For me, Rajčeva is just an extension of Knez Mihailova, so I believe they're going to attract retailers who couldn't find retail space in Knez Mihailova, especially the large retailers. So it's going to be a mix of middle level retailers, high-level retailers, and even low retailers. We don't have so many newcomers to the market, so a dream of it to be a luxury center, I think, is just a dream. So they're going to attract the ones that are in the market, are prepared to expand, prepared to lease out space.
Yeah. Thank you. Jura, something else, Aquapark. We discussed you plan to do this Aquapark in an extension or a new project. Yeah, tell us something about this.
Maybe I can first tell you a bit about Rajčeva, because I have also some information that you might find interesting, because our group member, of course, fashion company, is very interested in that location, and we believe that it is a good location for mid-level brands. Of course, within their concept, I'm not really sure what they plan to do with the upper stories. I mean, they have like 4, 5, 6 levels, I think, something like that, which is very strange and unusual in shopping center or even galleria development. Of course, the ground floor, first floor, and even, let's say, the second floor will definitely work, because it is an extension of Knez Mihailova, and it is definitely a good location. And of course, if the investor finishes the project, I think it will work quite well. Also, I believe that in Serbia, there is not a clear distinction between the types of shopping centers or shopping areas, let's call it that way, because there is a major undersupply. So you have a mixture of everything in the tenant mixes of virtually every center or shopping location in Belgrade or the rest of Serbia. And eventually, with the expansion of or development of, let's say, another 2 centers, I think that some of them will become more, let's say, fast fashion or mass-oriented, whereas some of them will be more higher level. To answer your question for the water park, well, I don't really like to speak about anything which is not, let's say, 100% certain that we are starting the full construction. But what I can say, and we've been receiving a lot of questions about this project, especially from the journalists, we definitely do plan to have this kind of development in India next to the fashion park. We are planning to develop probably the largest indoor and outdoor water park in Europe, and in terms of, let's say, theming, size, design, and attractions, it will be within 10 best water parks in the world. We have one very great advantage there, the location, of course, that's the existence of thermal water, which will provide us basically free heating throughout the year. So we hope to make something very, very nice, but I'm not certain at this point, or I cannot actually give you any precise dates yet.
Thank you. Second topic, Neman, we discussed it yesterday, your definition from secondary city. You mentioned Niš, Novi Sad, Kragujevac, And full stop, yeah, Belgrade is not a secondary city, but this is it, yeah. That means we have the capital city, we have the secondary cities, and everything else is something else. Could you explain a little bit about your thoughts about this?
Of course, let's say the Belgrade is primary city, all the others are secondary cities, although I don't like this name, primary, secondary. There is a huge difference, of course, between Belgrade and the other cities. Then again, there is a difference between Novi Sad and the other cities. But let's put all these 3 other cities into this second group that is our target at the moment. Those cities are, of course, that there is a problem in purchase power. We see this every day. On the other hand, we have a number of people in these cities which are, let's say, sufficient. It is something over 180 or more. Novi Sad, almost 300, and Niš a little bit less. So we believe that the product of, the shopping mall built in these cities is acceptable. For Novi Sad, for sure. Niš, so-so. But definitely it is something that we believe in, that we believe that those cities will rise, the economy will rise. It's definitely subject of our analysis at the moment. So this is why we are orienting towards these cities.
Thank you. Tina, do you think there is some 4th secondary city, or this is it?
I think from an investment in a shopping mall, a construction of a true shopping mall, I would say, in my opinion, I don't think there is a candidate for such a mall in Serbia, simply because there are no demographics that justify that, and secondary, there's no purchasing power which follows these demographics. So I would say no, for a shopping mall concept.
Nevena, for a shopping mall concept, you agree?
I agree. I don't believe that shopping centers are necessary in secondary smaller cities. I think retail parks are a better concept because it's cheaper to build, cheaper to manage, and you can get the discount retailers that are going to be suitable for the spending power in those cities.
I think in Romania they killed a lot of money with the concept that everywhere a shopping center should stand.
Yes.
Jura, you agree also that this is it, these 3 towns are secondary cities and this is it?
Yes, I would agree at this point, that's definitely it. Although I would like to add that I think that Serbia is witnessing a major overexpansion of retail parks as well, and I'm not really sure even about the demographics and the purchasing power for that sort of development, because now investors are basically rushing into the locations and trying to compete with each other who's going to find a better location, who's going to be the first. Of course, there is always the advantage of the first entry, but location is also quite important. And I'm afraid that we might see some non-performing projects in the future if all of them continue to be developed just without any real strategy or without any consideration about the market itself.
Thank you. The next question is related to retail parks, because 5 years ago when I talked with Mr. Pingera von Deichmann, he said he could imagine Serbia to have in 5 to 7 years 50 locations, yeah, a little bit high number, but let it be. In 2020, what we could expect, in which size of city we could expect smaller retail parks, yeah? What do you think, Diana?
Well, I think it goes again back to demographics. So I think with the city's size of 65,000 people and above, there is room to speak about a retail park concept. So whether it's going to be 5 or 10 or 15,000 square meters of leasable area, that certainly depends on the economy of particular city and the population. However, I would say starting from 65,000 up, there is some, I would say, potential to discuss the opportunity.
I would like to mention here Mladenovac. Mladenovac, I like the concept of Mladenovac. In principle, we have hypermarket 3,000, and I think it's additional 3,000 or 4,000. I think on a little bit smaller units for cities like, for example, Kikinda. Yeah, in this direction I'm thinking, because if okay, Austria is not Serbia, I understand this, but on the long run, I think the retail concept, park concept with maybe 5, 6, 7 tenants will go deep in the country. Nemanja, I'm right or I'm wrong?
You're definitely right. But the question is also what cities are going to be first on the table, then which one is going to be a little bit later. I mean, unfortunately, there are cities which are big enough, but they are simply underperforming in matter of general economy. And this is why some of them will have to wait, maybe even more than 2020. But on the other hand, cities, Pančevo, Zrenjanin, Subotica, they are simply getting their retail schemes that are operating quite good, and I'm sure that some others will continue that way as well.
Jura, I had this long time rumors, yeah? I'm an old man and I'm not so remembering so well, but I think you had the plan to make a retail park also on your location 100 years ago. I'm joking now, yeah? And the second question, do you see any relation between Zemun Park and your project? Is this helping or however? Is there some correlation?
No, our fashion park is a completely unique destination in Serbia, and it is the only destination where you can actually have company stores or retail distributors authorized by international brands to sell outlet products, meaning that they are not selling only the products from the excess stock from the previous seasons locally, but they're also importing special products from the brands that are only made for outlets. That gives quite a unique offer and always discounted prices. And retail parks definitely cannot be, let's say, competitive in any way because they focus mainly on the fast fashion and maybe some sport brands. So in that sense, definitely no. At some point, yes, we were even thinking of developing a retail park next to fashion park outlet because that's how much they're not even related and they can be even complementary in a way. But we decided not to proceed because, as I've said, there is a major overexpansion of those retail parks, and retail parks target only the local specific demographics, whereas fashion park targets the whole Serbia and the region. So it's a bit different ballgame.
Some hypermarket I saw in Barndorf now, Billa and everything else is developing. Yeah? Is this a concept connectable to the outlet center?
We have been considering this and researching a lot how would this actually benefit us and would it actually work. And I have to say that in our region, my answer is no, because on average, our visitors spend more than 85% of visitors spend between 2.5 to 3 hours in our center. And after that, you simply don't feel like going and buying groceries for your home. Again, we are a fairly dislocated location. So in that sense, normally families go to the most convenient location and do their family shopping, I don't know, once a week or twice a week, whereas they come to our center maybe 5 to 6 times on average per year. So different.
Thank you. Nevena, for you, I have a different question. Mr. Farmers mentioned today on this regional panel that the Serbian company Sport Vision is going to Croatia, that Lacoste is unifying their whole operation, that one franchisee is now for the whole region, SAE, Extremo Intimo is going to the north. Can you tell us something about this?
Okay, based on the news in the past year, we have noticed that local brands, local companies are rapidly expanding not just in Serbia, but also regionally and even internationally. So when it comes to Sports Vision, they now have over 150 stores in the region. They're also in Bulgaria, Macedonia, Albania, and Croatia. They opened last year 3 stores in Romania. So they're rapidly expanding. Also, Lili Drogeri chain, they have around 130 stores in Serbia. They have expanded the retail network in Bulgaria with 40 new stores. And then we have, let's say, local brands such as Extreme Intimo and Luna Fashion, who are not just expanding regionally, but let's say Extreme Intimo has this year opened their first store in Paris and Luna Fashion in Russia. So I definitely see a trend that local retailers are becoming very active. They can be also very good tenants for these retail parks and shopping centers. Let me just mention an interesting brand, Serbian brand Manuel & Co. It's a handbag, leather handbag company. They are planning to open about 5 stores in Belgrade by the end of the year, and they also want to strengthen their presence in the region. Also, in order to fight their international competition, they are establishing a new brand called Coffee with Milk, which they will introduce in Serbia in 2016, and they want to expand internationally.
Interesting, a lot of new developments. Now, before I mentioned retail parks, and now I think it's good to make a differentiation between retail park developed by a developer who is interested to sell it, yeah, to make an exit, and maybe an immofinance which is also able to have it in a portfolio, investor, developer. How you see the situation around the exit? I am working for IMAX, yeah, and years I was trying to convince them to do retail parks. They're very, very professional with this, yeah? And I think it's in principle a mistake that we did not do this. On the other hand, the argument was really clear from IMAX. They said, if we cannot sell it, we are stuck with our equity, and okay, maybe the way out is a package sale if you have 5 or 7 locations. Diana, how you see this?
I think from an international investor standpoint, I think that only makes sense, because I doubt any of them would enter with 1 or 2 projects and keep them forever. Whoever came in from internationals and developed and opened 1 project, either they have a plan to open more and sell as a package, or they simply want to exit as soon as possible with the one, because there's no point of having a platform and having expenses and maintaining just 1 project. On the other side, looking at local developers who are mainly our clients, the obvious situation is different. For them, it's their life. So basically, they invest to have something for their own personal reputation. They want to develop something which is a true trademark of the city where they develop. And ultimately, they, of course, think of selling the project, because that's the whole point of investment one day, but not necessarily looking 5-year horizon that they need to exit. And for them, it's more of an emotional value. So I really see, even in development and later on in maintenance of these properties, I see a difference between international investors and the local. From the exit standpoint, it's obviously difficult to judge today, because the investment market in Serbia was not so active compared to the western part of the world, simply because of all the economical and political history of Serbia. Certainly, we see a lot of international capital basically touching our boundaries, and I don't think it's simply because they see Serbia as the hot spot today, but it's because it's simply the capital needs to flow, and there's a big, I would say, push from all sorts of countries to move and invest, and that's why we see a lot of new funds today, because they simply need to invest somewhere, and western part of the world whatsoever saw the prices going up. So I think what is going on in the market of Serbia today, in my opinion, is not only the undersupply of Serbian market, it's also the pressure of capital from western part of the world that we see. And I think this way will last for a couple of years until market gets exhausted, because it's simply not too big, and then we'll certainly see some exits. But how they will look like, honestly, I'm also curious to see.
Thank you. Now a little bit different question. Nevena, these rumors or these speculations about the sales of Delta in Belgrade and in Podgorica, you had this on your platform like in news, or we wrote about this?
Unfortunately, we can't publish any information that is not official. So I actually had a conversation with Aleksandra Opsanica. Our readers are our members, so we have to publish information that they want us to publish. So I can't give out any information regarding this.
To say nothing is also an information. Now I would like to ask Nemanja, would you, like NEPI, be a potential buyer for such a portfolio, or it's the wrong time for doing such a thing? A theoretical question.
Generally, we are considering all existing developments in the region. And we will continue to do it.
You are so quiet. You can hear a little pin falling. That's great. Yeah. Jura, do you think it's only a rumor, or this is really? I try to dig deeper. Yeah. Do you think that's the idea of Delta to do this exit, or it's really only a rumor? Guessing. No. Coffee shop.
No, I just didn't understand you. Is it Delta's?
It's Delta's plan to sell it.
Plan
You believe this is the plan, or it's you don't believe it?
Well, as my friends and colleagues said, I cannot really comment on other companies' plans, but in my opinion, they are probably exploring opportunities and trying to see what can happen.
We're going now to mystery, yeah? And the next question of mystery is Lidl, yeah? We know that they bought the plot in Staropasova, and we're all waiting, yeah, when something is happening on this plot for the logistics center, yeah? Because until the logistics center is not built or started to build, this is an enormous investment. I'm not sure when Lidl will happen. The rest, the retail shops or food retail shops, this is a 6 months operation. It's not a big deal to roll out this. Yeah. Do we have some? I hope because I'm living on Panica or wherever is Steppe, and there is a plan for a Lidl, and I would be very glad to have my Lidl in 2016. Yeah. Do you think that it's too early, or I have to wait 2017? Some idea, feeling? No idea?
I feel the same like you.
Okay.
Well, the thing is definitely in the approach of entering the market. You know, the problem is that institutional investors, I mean, not only institutional investors, but also big chains like Lidl, have their own corporate strategy and way of doing business, and they are not willing to change it easily when they enter a certain market like this one here. And that creates a lots of operational problems for them to actually start the project. And those problems are not necessarily actual problems that cannot be resolved, but just in the way of their corporate governance, it sometimes takes more time for them to realize how to basically start developing some project.
I think.
Yeah. The last article that we've published about Lidl was that they're going to start construction of their first store by the end of 2015. So, you know, your dreams might be fulfilled. But it always changes. But
maybe one general in the beginning when I had some ideas around retail parks, we thought the key of retail park development is Lidl. Yeah, like a food retailer, and you put your retail park beside Lidl. Yeah? But I think the retail parks are now really much more faster than Lidl. And okay, you need food retailer, but no one is now really depending his strategy on this, where Lidl will be and when Lidl will be. I think this is a conclusion. But this is so mystery topic. We go out of this High Street, yeah, Belgrade High Street, H&M. I think they are happy with their shop in the city center. What, Diana?
Well, investor is happy.
Okay. Good.
So I think it's above the plans that they have in terms of the rent, because obviously there's a part of the percentage rent that goes into the play. But also from the comments we receive from the tenant, they are quite satisfied. And it really is in line or above their expectations, which is good news.
Thank you. Nemanja, when I go to Knez Mihailova, I always get very strange feelings when I go to, I think it's called Grčka Kraljica, yeah? And it's a pity that such a great city has such fallen angels, yeah? Okay, we don't know what is the reason, but we should change this, or?
I mean, of course, you are totally right, and I would like to use the opportunity to say that the biggest problems for investors here are the administration, and I have to mention word conversion, which does nothing to do with this. But High Street and Knez Mihailova overall is the example of the problems we are having with administration and restitution and all the other things, and this is actually stopping this wonderful high street to develop. Grčka Kraljica is a very good example. Myself personally, I was trying before a couple of years ago for the company I used to work with to try to rent it, but generally the ownership in these properties are problematic, and there is no solution on the table, and I'm not sure if it's going to be. So this is not the only location, Robne Kuće Beograd, 2 locations, and who knows how many stores. Nobody cannot enter over there and invest $500,000 or more, and to be totally uncertain about the future, the ownership, and the similar things. So this is the administrative problem of Serbia.
Nevena, I would do out of Millennium Center, I think it's called Millennium, you know what I think, in the center, I would make out of this a very crazy design hotel or something like this, yeah? Which vision you see for this? Because as it is now, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense, and I see it as something similar to Sky Office's short-term office space to be rented for startup companies. I think it's a great location for that, and also the other shopping center was City Passage, and I think that's a good concept for that.
I'm so happy that I sold SA offices. You have so good ideas. I have now a little bit an idea what I'm having in my heart a long time, and this idea is the bankruptcy of a building. Yeah? Because I think Belgrade has a large problem with this, that there's a lot of things which never could be finished because out of a lot of reasons. Yeah? And I think because we are far away from European community, I hope we're all clear with this, we should make a law on bankruptcy of building, and people should declare their how to say, their not liability, their receivables, and make a clean procedure that the building can start again, could be rebuilt, reconstructed, yeah? Because it's a pity that there's a lot of fallen angels in the city which never could be solved because the legal situation is so complicated, and the bankruptcy procedure, especially lex specialis, could solve this with doing a lot of other problems maybe, yeah? But I think Belgrade needs a fresh change, maybe also other towns, but this is some idea.
Can I just add something?
Yes.
When I was working as a retail consultant, we were chasing these retail units that are owned by the city, and I always questioned, why doesn't the city have a website with all the available retail space? Why do they wait for these auctions, which are mostly silent auctions that only a few know about? So that is a real critique regarding the government and the city. Why don't they give out information, which units are available, what is the size, what is the price, so it's transparent and other retailers can have a go in the auctions. Yeah.
Thank you, Nevena. One other thing I have in my list, which is maybe interesting before we started with the question round, yeah. You know, one was existing, this is Zemun Park. Yeah? Zemun Park is now the second try with this retail park. We have also the situation with Karaburma. The Merkur Center is transformed more than less to a retail park. Yeah? I think nice tries to make things which fallen projects running again. Tiana, how you see this?
No, certainly. I think that's actually the whole idea behind, at the end, our service that we provide, and the companies which actually work in this active asset management function, because there is no a concept that lasts forever. So just because the people are changing and the competition is coming, so we need to be always active and see when something doesn't make sense anymore and try to convert it. That's what we did with one of our properties in 2009. We converted it into an outlet center in New Belgrade. That was before outlet center was open in India, and that worked quite well. It attracted additional people. It was basically refurbished slightly, not much in construction standpoint, but from like 70% occupancy and a large bad debt, it actually came to 100% occupancy with no bad debt whatsoever, with a nicer design and happy tenants. And that lasted for 5, almost 6 years. Now we are again converting into some of a neighborhood choice tenants, and we realize that it works well. So basically every couple of years you need to adopt certain changes in concept in order to allow for a long-standing life of your property.
Thank you. Jura, you mentioned before, it's my last question, you have a property in Niš, and is this working properly, or have also to find a new solution or a new idea for this property?
Well, basically this property was an old robne kuće, basically, I don't know how they translate this into English, but all of you know it. Basically we bought this a long time ago and completely refurbished it and created a small shopping center, which is actually the right size for the city of Niš. This project is now operating almost 4.5–5 years, and it's working very well. It's more than 100% leased, so even the single aisles in the center are leased out, which is great. There is no bad debt. The project is having an increase in footfall and in turnover, and it definitely positioned itself as the #1 shopping destination in the city of Niš.
I have to apologize, Klaus Graber could not make it today, and he would ask himself now, in the 55th minute of our panel discussion, asking about equity. Yeah? And today, no bank is here, and there will be no question about equity. We forget this time. Questions for the speakers? Do you have some questions, or you would like that we talk outside with the coffee? Coffee, huh? Yeah. I think it was very, very interesting. You saw I was digging deep on all sides, but they were very honest, and I think we get a good feeling something is going on. Retail parks will change the shopping reality or retail reality of Serbia, but a lot of other trends happen, and I like very much next time online shops. We will deepen this next year. Yeah? And
pop-up stores.
Yeah, this was the idea at the end of the day, but it's pop-up stores. It was a topic on Grid Vienna. You have something like this in Ušće from time to time?
Yeah, actually we do. What we decided to do we usually have these downtime periods from when one tenant leaves to when other is entering the unit. So we usually use it as a pop-up store. We actually started this 2 years ago, and it proved to work really well. So tenants come in who sell some of a special product for a certain period of the year. It could be like a jewelry, handcraft, or whatever, and they stay there for a month or a couple of days, and it proved to be very unique, very attractive for the customers, and they make quite good sales. And at the end of the day, in a downtime period where you would actually collect zero rent, you end up to have a pretty good revenue for the investor. So I'm supportive of this concept.
Great. Jura, you have such a thing also in outlet, or this is not a concept?
No, in outlet not, because outlet is an open scheme center. So it's a bit more difficult to organize these kind of events, although we do organize special presentations and marketing events for, I don't know, certain products that companies like to present in our center, similar way like this, but we also charge some rent for it. We had many car distributors who were positioning their cars inside of the walking area of the center. Also beer companies giving free beer and letting the customers try it. Juice companies, similar things like that. So proved to work quite well.
I just wanted to add the pop-up stores were realized during the financial crisis at the beginning of 2000 in the West, and it was a way to lower rents and just lower the risk, because you can test the location, you can sell your products for a period of time, and if it doesn't work you can close it down or change the location. And also it said it to be a really good marketing tool because it affects impulse shopping. When people know that the store is going to close soon, they're going to immediately buy products. And it's also a really good way for online businesses to present their products, services, and features. So I don't know why more pop-up stores are not in Serbia, but in the region. I can give an example. Domo has Romanian electronics retailer that already has 80 stores in the country, is going to, by the end of 2015, to open 100 pop-up stores. So it is becoming a trend in the region.
Great. Thank you for your, we know it, Obscenica. We know it. Thank you to all panelists, to all the audience. We will pop out now to the coffee, and we'll be inspired. To the cocktail. Okay, I'm sorry.